showing you is how to debug in Android. So I'm going to get rid of Xcode, and I'm going to get rid of Git Tower and jump back. I'll get rid of QuickTime. Okay, so I'm going to go to the tutorial that you guys were supposed to have done. I've already done it on this machine, and I'm going to make some mistakes and then try and figure out how to fix those mistakes. Okay, so let's close this project and let me open an existing project. And where is this project? Okay, you know what? I'll show you how to debug and I'll walk through the tutorial really fast, but I won't have time to get all the way through it. So is Forget Me Not Starter, is that the project? Okay. Okay, so probably this is the starting project with nothing added to it. So let me just open the tutorial up real quick. And I don't know why the internet is just chunking out right now, but okay, search for Kotlin. So if you go to raywenderlich.com and search on Kotlin, you will find all our Kotlin tutorials. I highly recommend you go through all of them because you'll learn a lot and it'll just make you more powerful as a developer. So the one we want is activities. This one. And Joe, I know all these guys because I'm on the Ray Wenderlich team, so I see them on Slack, but I don't want to go off on a tangent. So yeah, I was asking him about the let and the optionals. Like there's a few ways to handle that, and some coding stuff he did in here. I was asking why he did it a certain way, but I won't go into that right now. It'll just confuse you. So let me just. I'm not going to read through all the theory. I talked about all this stuff, like the whole life cycle, like last week. So I'm just going to go through actually the coding part of it. But when you do it, I suggest you read through it and follow it step by step and actually understand why you're doing what you're doing. Okay. So he says, open the sample project. You'll see all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to skip all that. Okay, so main activity.kotlin file. Okay. He says add this property. And normally I would never copy paste. I'll type everything. I suggest when you do the tutorial, type it out. Because it'll do two things. One is you'll get familiar with the code completion in Android Studio, and it'll help you learn if you have to type. If you copy paste, you're not going to learn as well. I'm telling you from experience and from research that has been done, you learn a lot better by actually typing, writing stuff instead of just copy pasting. So this is main activity Kotlin. So this is main activity Kotlin, and someone was at, so where are all the files? Again, you open app. There's manifests. Java is where the source code is, res is where the resources are, right? So here's the Kotlin file, and he says add a property. So where does the property go? Can I put it here? Yeah, it has to go inside the class, right? So for the class to use a property, it has to be defined in the class. So the class is defined from where it says class and then this opening bracket. One thing I hate about Android Studio, if I double click this, it highlights the closing bracket, but then it's gone. In Xcode, if you double click this, it'll highlight all the code and keep it highlighted, so you know where all that is. But whatever, that's a stupid Java program. Anyway, I mean the actual IDE is Java. So let me add that property here. So it's a private means it's private to this class, so another class would not be able to see this property. It can only be used by this class. Okay, and then val means it's. Once I've assigned it, it's there. Now this is what I was talking about. Notice it's all caps. He didn't use const, C-O-N-S-T, right, to make it a constant. He used val, but he made it all caps. This is from the end of time, the beginning of time, since people have been programming. This is a convention. Constants, you use all upper letters. And what that means is that basically this is a value that I'm going to use from different places in my application, in this case from different places in my in this class, because it's only local to the class, and I'm just going to refer to it. So instead of using the value over and over, one here, one there, I just want to put it in the property so I can refer to it by name. So it makes more sense to me. Okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So how do I do that in Android Studio? If I go to Preferences, the reason I'm showing you this is because you will probably want to do this on your local machine too, wherever you are. So there's a thing for the appearance, and then fonts. Where is it? What's that? I went to Preferences. So I don't know where that is in Windows. Yeah. And then I want Editor, Colors and Fonts, Font, and then I can change the font. I can change the size of it. Let me make it double the size, 24. Hit Apply. Hello. Hello. Shoot. Okay, let me hit OK. Oh, there. I don't know why it's slow. So is that readable? Is that a good size or is it too big? Good size? Okay. So what I'm going to have to do is drag this window over so you can see better. Okay. Is that better? Okay. So I added this constant, and then it says add this import. Okay, here's a quick thing. I don't know if they mentioned this tutorial or not, but anywhere. Okay, so what is import? So when I use some built-in class from Android or some bundle or some library that's built in, but I still have to import it. So like here, these imports are already there, like android.view.view, right? So that means, or widget.adapterView. So there's an Android class, okay, called widget, and then it has a subclass adapterView. So if I import this, I can start using adapterView as a type. Without this import, it won't work anymore, and my class will break. So if I start typing some code, like private val, private, and just say, yeah, let's say call it private val some class of type, you know, this thing, whatever the class type was, right? If this was something that Android knew about, and I hit Command Enter, it would automatically add the import for me. I think on yours it's Control Enter on Windows. Okay, I don't know, but so that's like a trick you can do. But right now I'm just gonna go ahead and type, or you can just type in import, and then it says Android content at intent. Okay, Android. So code completes it for me, right? Content dot intent. Now another dumb thing about this, it doesn't know what I'm talking about now. Why? Because yeah. So Xcode, if I don't capitalize it, it'll still be smart enough to say, oh, did you mean intent? But here I have to hit capital I, and now it knows how to code complete. So whatever. But now I did that. Why is this gray? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why it's gray. Did I do it right? I mean, there's a reason for it. I don't know what it is. Like, maybe because I have no idea. Again, I'm learning this stuff too. Okay. So then it says do this import, and then add this implementation for add task clicked. No. Did it say it? No. It shouldn't matter. But I can move it and it should be the same. Yeah. Same thing. It would be, yeah, the import order doesn't matter.
It says unused import directed.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's because I made this import, but I haven't made use of that class yet, or a class that uses that import. So it's like, why do you have this here? Why is it good to tell you that as a developer? Why is it good that IDE tells you that? So what happens when you have import is when at compile time, it will pull all these like packages in to build this class. So you're pulling in extra stuff you don't need to. It's going to take longer for this to compile. Okay, and it'll make your bundle size bigger too. So don't import stuff you don't need to. But this is so you could see that it's gray, and then same thing here. This is gray because I haven't used it yet. So good call, good catch. Okay, so add this to add task clicked. Okay, so here's add task clicked, and there's nothing there right now. So I'm going to go ahead and add this code in there. And again, I'm going to copy paste, and normally would not do that. And some of the stuff I'll talk about why they do what they do. Okay, notice it updated what I pasted it. It automatically changed what I typed. Okay, so this is, it's more verbose, it's more explicit, and that's great. I'm gonna leave it. Okay, so they didn't have that in the tutorial, but it added that for me. That's cool. So again, val intent is an intent. So what are intents? Does anyone know? Who did the tutorial or who read the stuff already? Okay, let me talk about what intents are real quick. And let me just start from here. Okay, so intents. So we know what activities are, right? You have like a screen. So an intent is a way to pass stuff between those screens or between those activities. Okay, so if I have a pop-up and it said enter your username and password, and then I hit submit, and the pop-up went away, and I want to populate something from that or into the other view that I'm seeing now. How do I pass that message? Okay, so the way you do it is through an intent. Okay, so it's an object that's used just for passing data between your activities. So activity, service, intent types. Okay, you can read this details to learn more about it. But basically, what it is it passes. Here's a nice diagram. So like, you have an activity, you start an activity, then you create an intent to pass some message to the other activity. Okay. Okay. So here I have this intent. And it has a reference to this. So I have add task. This is in add task clicked. Okay. And what is add task clicked? How do I do this? Okay. Yeah. There's a lag or something. So what I did is on my machine I command clicked. On yours I think you control click. On add task clicked, and it jumped into this other file, which is, what does this look like? Yeah, it says activity main.xml, right? So this is the layout, right? And if I look at the design view, actually it jumped into the actual add task click thing. Where is it? Here. So this is a button, and on click it says run this function add task clicked. Okay, and I can look at the design view, and here's the button, and there's a thing on the side here. You can, if you don't want to type it in the code, you can add here for the on click right here. What do I do when it's clicked? You can choose the function add task clicked. It comes in a dropdown. Why? Because this function is defined in the corresponding activity file, in the Kotlin file. You see the tie-in? So this is the layout file, and this is the Kotlin file. So I have a function here that was empty, add task clicked. By putting it there, I can now reference it from my layout. See how that works? Okay, so now you're kind of seeing how to tie your code in with your layouts, right? So when I click it, do what? Create this intent, okay, with a reference to this, and then start activity for result. It says, what is start activity for result? And then with an intent, I pass this intent and this add task request. So I jump to start activity for result, and it jumped into this fragment activity.java and all that code. I'm not going to talk about that right now. Okay, so let's go back to the tutorial. And I want to jump ahead a bit because I was going to show you how to debug and running out of time. So let me, okay, so I know for sure when I run this, I'm going to run onCreate, right? So onCreate, I want to have in here print line hey. Okay, so when I run this, you expect in the console you would see this word hey pop up, right? But say it wasn't running, or I had some error, or I want to, basically what I want to do is I want to pause the execution in the middle of execution, and I want it to stop at a certain point in my code and see what's going on. Like, what is the value of something? So actually, let me add another value here. Let me say var x equals 2, okay? And then print line hey, the value of x is, and then I want the value of x, so plus, and then x. You saw this earlier, right? Okay, so I want it to pause here while I'm running and tell me, and I want to be able to look at the variables while they're populated and see what the value is at a given time, and all that other stuff, okay? So let me put a breakpoint right here. So if I tap here, see that red dot? That's a breakpoint. So I'm tapping in the margin where the line numbers are. I'm adding a breakpoint. So this is going to cause execution to stop if I'm debugging the application. The important difference between Android Studio and Kotlin and Java development and Android Studio versus Xcode and iOS development. If I put a breakpoint, I just run my app the same way I normally run it, and it will stop here. But here, there's a difference. So you see this play button? If I do this play, I'm never going to hit my breakpoint. Play will not hit breakpoints. You have to debug your application. Okay? Same thing when we were doing Flash development back in the day on Eclipse. You guys, I don't know if anyone's doing Java here, but you have to debug instead of just playing the app. So what you do is you go to, where is it? Debug. Can you see this? Let me zoom in. See this little bug? This is supposed to be an insect. Okay? With a little play button on top of it. And your mouse over says debug app. So instead of playing, you'll hit debug. So now you have a new step. Instead of hitting play when you're running your app, if you're trying to debug, like if you had an issue, you're trying to figure out what's wrong with your app, what did you do wrong in your coding, you use debug. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and run it on whatever. We're running out of time. Okay. And it's going to launch my emulator. And when it gets to this point in the code, it's going to pause. I'm going to see like a console pop up, hopefully, and you'll see that it paused right here. Okay, so it's launching. And basically what happens is there's a bunch of controls that you'll get. You can step over the code, you can step through the code, you can step into the code. Those are the three things you need to remember. The main thing is step over. So like, step over will just go to the next line, go to the next line. Go ahead and run the next line. So suppose like the issue was you're running your app and it crashes, okay? And you're like, I don't understand where the crash is happening. So you could pause your code somewhere before the crash happens and then step through till you see where it crashes, right? Or if you're debugging, you'll see like an error. We actually have an error here. So it didn't even compile. I don't know why it went through all that. So let me go to this. And let me comment this code out because I hadn't finished this. So let me hit Command/ to comment that out. And then let me try debugging again. I'm going to show it to you. But yeah, step over. So step over will go to the next line. And then you can just resume, which will just skip that break, or like hitting play again and just continue executing your code. So hit the next breakpoint. You have as many breakpoints as you want. And then step into will be like, okay, if I'm here in print line and I step into, it'll jump into the code for this function, print line. Print line is a function. And since it's a built-in function, you'll jump into like some weird Android code, but you'll get into that function. And then you can see all the details of that. Is it executing? Waiting for oh, do you see that? It said waiting for debugger. Okay, so it hit my breakpoint. Okay, so here's where all the cool stuff happens. So you see I'm at my breakpoint, and you see in variables here. So this shows you all the variables that are currently in scope. So this refers to the main activity. This is myself. Okay, and In other languages, like they'll say self. Here we use this. JavaScript also you have this or self or something, right? And then you have save instant state is no, but it's a variable, but it's no. Okay. And I have this var x equals 2, but I haven't done anything with it yet. I haven't executed this line. So the breakpoint happens before the current line that's on has executed. Let me go past this line one time, right? So I'm going to use, okay, let me zoom in so you can see. So see where it says console and there's these controls. If you mouse over, it tells you what they do. So this will step over. This will step into. This is for step into. I don't know what that does. Step out of, which is opposite of step into, and then some other stuff. Evaluate expression. Okay, so let me go ahead and hit step over. So that'll go to the next line, print line. Now notice x equals 2 popped down here. Before this var statement, var x was not defined, so it didn't even appear here. Okay. So if I had another line down here, x plus equals, or plus plus, x plus plus, you can see this changes, x equals 3. Okay. So you can see the value of stuff. No, so you get this debug console, this whole thing. So this is a debugger, it's called, I guess. And it shows you a list of all the variables. If I go into this, which is my activity, you see this has a whole bunch of stuff, like add task request and the value of it. And some other stuff, like that you may or may not know what this stuff is right now. But like, you know, because I'm in onCreate, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's done by Android and by, you know, the system. But like add task request was, we were referencing that later on, right? Anyway, so you can see like all these variables that are defined. So if you're going to do some like brute force debugging, you know, like just to see like what's going on, you can put a breakpoint, pause there, you can step over. Now let's say I want to just continue execution until my next breakpoint. Okay, so actually, let me just hit play. Okay, so what I do is if I go to this one, not this one, where is it? Oh, this one. This green button here, resume program. That will just, like hitting the play button and just goes and continues execution, right? Now, let me add, let me zoom back out so I can see my screen. But I won't do this now, but I can, basically like if I, under add task list, if I put a print line there, actually let me show you in the console, I should have seen hey somewhere, right? I don't know. And all this skips 71 frames, that's a bad sign from Android. Anyway, if I put in here like print or something, right? Then when I hit that button, you would see that happen. If I put a breakpoint here, then I could pause there when that happens. So, you know, I can see what's going on. Yeah, so I don't have to like have print statements everywhere and look at my console. I can just pause there and see the value of variables while execution is happening. Okay? So today you guys learned about Git, version control, debugging your application, a review of Kotlin. So you know everything you need for the quiz and a lot more.